Aside from stealing your life savings and launching depressions, one of the nastier features of paper money is what it does to governments. In short, it transforms them from parasite into predator. This is because the traditional relationship was that government wanted us to be rich, so it could get lots of taxes. But what if the government doesn't need taxes? What if instead it has an in-house money printer, one that can apparently print trillions per year as the Fed did during COVID? At that point, the government doesn't actually need us to be prosperous. It feasts whether or not we starve. It changes us from the natural symbiosis of a parasite to potentially a very nasty predator. We saw this in living color during the pandemic lockdowns. So just imagine in early COVID, some naive bureaucrat who rushes in with a brilliant idea. We shall lock down the economy, which will cut GDP by half, and it'll cut taxes by half. But don't worry, we'll just fire half of the government workers. So that bureaucrat would have a very short career. Instead, of course, they did have an in-house money printer, the Fed, who pumped out the $6 trillion that it took to bribe voters into lockdowns and spend whatever Washington's diseased minds could come up with. Aside from the liberties they took with those trillions, we're now dealing with the aftermath, the inflation, the millions out of the labor force, the trillions of debt, kids who cannot read, half of 20-something Americans now stuck living with their parents, all because they had a money printer. In fact, this is not a new problem. In today's newsletter, I walked through the experience of Song Dynasty China, which is around the 900s to the 1200s. They are famous because they invented paper money, specifically the wood block technique that enabled mass printing, which they quickly turned to money. The Song are otherwise famous for using the resulting inflation to turn one of history's most amazing golden ages into a gutted carcass the Mongol Khans rode to burn half of the world. So what happened? In short, the Song government quickly discovered it could use those block prints to counterfeit unlimited amounts of money, and it turned from taxes to inflation. This broke the traditional Confucian symbiosis between government revenue and public prosperity. As the economy failed, the Song government flooded free money to peasants, what we would now call welfare, and as today, they started wars to distract and excuse their failures, and to ship young men off to die. It lost those wars as previously proud Chinese fled the dying economy to go over and join the invaders. It was, in a word, national suicide, and it only stopped when the victorious Mongols reinstated silver money in the new Yuan dynasty. So back to the present, what's next? Brought to you by Unchained. What's next is we have learned nothing from 1,000 years of failed paper money. Governments are using paper to turn themselves into burdens on the people rather than the benevolent helpers they were supposed to be. Every government fundamentally should want the same thing that its people want: prosperity, low crime, social harmony, peace. Instead, they are today becoming active agents of disruption because they are self-funding. They increasingly seem uninterested whether we succeed or fail, since, after all, they eat either way. At this point, our leaders are accelerating down the road from benign parasite to vicious predator with no end in sight. Read the full article on the Song Dynasty at profsaintange.com, and we'll be watching. See you next time.